Thank you for tuning in to Answers from the Universe. With your host, Jessica Morocco. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Well, it's a really great day. Thank you so much for helping out today, Colleen.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And this is really going to be a lot of fun. I ended up talking to JP yesterday, and we did the transmission in advance. He had some other things going on, and so, I don't know, maybe Colleen can explain that. But, anyhow, this has been an ongoing thing with these transmissions. I know that, I never thought, like the first time I got the information, a lot of times as a medium, I have like a one shot at it, they'll come in, especially sometimes high profile, like celebrities and different people that I'll see, and communicate, and then they're gone. But in this case, I was just really surprised that, each week I'm getting this information over and over again. I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I try to get as much pertinent information as possible from Andronicus and this information coming from Andromeda, which I think is also, kind of a cousin type of, or brother, sister, somehow they're connected to us in our human experience here. So, I'm holding on to as long as I can. This weekend I actually did a bunch of transmissions in advance. That's how intense this has been. I couldn't even leave the house on Saturday, and I wrote down about 4 sequential ones that are coming up in the future. So anyhow, there is much more to come, and all of this stuff I think goes into play with, it's almost like the pre-story, the pre-history, the pre-story before, this planet had evolved. So it's almost like it jumps around a bit, but this has been happening. This happened at these various locations that had, some of the key players that are still here today, but we as a human race were kind of not a part of it in the earlier phases. So you can see how these things start to develop, and this is all news to me, Colleen.
Oh, wow. Well, when you get these transmissions and you write them down, do you use a typewriter, you write them out by hand? How do you do that?
Both. I've done both. If I really feel that it's coming in heavily, I'll just start, I don't have a computer in front of me, I'll just start writing it. Mm-hmm. The most part I'm writing it down on the computer, and I'm just, actually hearing the information, and you'll see that, he mentions something like it's usually on a Tuesday. Technically, it's like really the beginning of the week that I've noticed that it's right around that time range where we're communicating. And I didn't understand it. He actually explains it, that, they're very scheduled. Time is very pertinent to them. Calendars are important to them. And so this is where, like, the Mayan calendar and all that other stuff, I just recently had a conversation with someone about the Mayan calendar, and they said, well, the Mayans don't believe that it's the end of the world, it's just the end of their calendar. And I said, that's right. I said, they didn't get the other tablet. And if they did, they don't know where it is, But it's not the end. It was just the end of that phase of things.
Right. Well, Vanessa just put in the chat room, she wanted to know if you feel like it's all coming to a climax.
It is, because you see that there are some trends, things that we can learn from Andronicus and his interaction with these other beings. And, someone asked me, they said, well, why is it that some of these are like reptoid beings and there's a humanoid? And I said, Source somehow created a variety of different types of beings. And so for some reason, the reptoid type of humanoid beings, it's kind of like a blending, but these are not hybrid beings. These are beings that are created by Source, as opposed to the hybrid beings where other cultures had then tried to merge DNAs. So that's different. And we're kind of a blending. The humans are a blending of the Anunnaki, according to Zacharias Sitchin. We were, people say, well, the Anunnaki evil or whatever. Well, technically, according to what the findings with the ancient Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki were, our parents. these were the ones that actually kind of, shared their DNA with us, which brings us to that a higher evolved state as opposed to where we were prior to that.
Right. And I'm thinking that there was more races than the one.
Yeah. You know what, Colleen? It's very possible by the looks of the way these things are going and what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, you can actually look at people and see certain, people remind you, he reminds me of a bird, or she's so cat-like.
Yeah, or a fish.
Yeah, people that love the water, know. You're like, wow, or people who like flying, I think we got some genes in us that we had no idea of, and it's kind of scary, but it's also fascinating, and you're like, wow, we really are all one.
We are, and not only that, these beings that talking about with Andronicus, many of them have come to the earth and have incarnated as humans. So those other attributes that they had previously, a lot of them wanted to have this human experience. It's like, this is like the earth is like the melting pot. I'm sure that there are others, but this one is really a strong conglomeration of multi, beings, I guess, for lack of word.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Species,
thank you. That's the perfect term to cover it. Sounds a little more appropriate, doesn't it?
Sometimes I come up with the right word unless I need it, of course. And it's like lost in space.
Yeah. That's perfect, yeah. And so we're trying to figure out, how does this all work together? Some of it just, it doesn't make any sense, but I found this backstory is starting to make more sense of where the absence of information was from, the big gaps in the Bible, and what, historical findings where there's glimpse of pieces of information. Why are we seeing these big, like, fish-looking things? They say it came from Sirius B or, A or whichever one it came from, and these fish beings came here, and, and then there's, like, mermaid type of lore, and, there's all these different types of things interwoven, and you're just like, wait a minute, where did they come from? Because there's an absence of the origin of these things, there is this big gap.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think it's still going on, because, we got new creatures that are being found. And I think those who seeded us before may also be putting in seeds, in quotes, that will survive these changes that are going on. Right. And because we are killing so many of them off, maybe there's some species they're bringing in that are more adaptable to this change.
Yeah, it's the environmental change too. And being able, if there is that attribute, I think that we do in some way morph genetically to accommodate whatever the environment is.
Yeah. Well, I think the Earth does that naturally too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely in survival mode. Although, if we go too far, it could be like Mars and some of the other planets that were destroyed.
Well, we're trying to teach people to be a little bit smarter about how you make the change. Don't create it. Don't help it along with your bombs and your sprays and all that kind of stuff. Let's stop and think about this a minute. How are we going to do this? How are we going to fix this? How are we going to survive and evolve in this change?
Right. You're 100% right. And you need to love the earth, love our mother, which is the earth. How could you not love the mother, the one that nurtures you, the one that provides food for you? JP and I talk about the whole issue of plastics. Mention that, and we'll touch on that a little bit in this transmission. Yeah. And so I think, like I said, what you were saying is very important. And we were talking a bit about plastics.
Right.
How plastics are just finding their way throughout our waters and landfills, and they're not biodegradable. And
I think we need to do something with those plastics. Make something, instead of creating more plastic, use the plastic that we've got.
Recycling, right.
Right, for something that is more permanent. Because if it's not biodegradable, it would make great stuff on, say, the side of houses, siding, because you want something that's going to last a while.
So you guys are in the chat room. I miss talking to everyone in the chat room. I want to just tell you I love you guys. And, I love your feedback and everything. I've been missing out on quite a bit. And, had quite a bit of, technical issues. And it seems like that seems to be the common thing a lot of people are going through. So, and I'm looking at all those wonderful people. Miss you guys, really. And it makes me think of Dave Corso, too. Alright, so Colleen's gonna go right in and start recording, and I will be back. I want you to listen in really good and hear what JP and I have to say. This is a transmission from Andromeda, and Andronicus, who gives me the transmissions. Will be coming up right now. Okay, so it's either a music break or it's going to go right into the
Andromeda transmission.
I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a moment.
Do you want to preamble to this, Jess?
Yeah, this has been a very interesting time. A lot's going on, and this transmission in particular was more of a discussion rather than an overlay of different events, but more or less like a teaching or a lesson time with Andronicus, because I think he feels that we need to understand certain things. So, I think we can go right into it and experience and understand what it is he's trying to teach us. A lot of it's about time, space, and whatever else he felt that we need to know for this time.
Right. Okay.
So, not to just be muttering here.
That's okay.
Let's started.
I'm just, it's quite a cold summer's night here, so I'm just loading the stove. Okay. Andronicus, transmission number 13. Greetings, my friend. It is a day you call Tuesday today. This is when we usually speak. Have you ever wondered why we speak on this day?
No, but it did cross my mind before. I thought it was strange that I often connect with you at this time of the week, and thought it was because I was focused in on you.
It is a special day for us. This was a time when we first had our discussion. I thought it was the time when we should continue to communicate. We log the days, Much of your calendar's days and time measurements were developed during our system. We are highly consistent with coordinates and dates to track events, both in our experience as well as within the planetary system, or also for travel across the galaxy or travel through time and dimensions. The Vegas has taught us a great deal about our timetable, how dimensional space works, and how to bend time. You've never heard about bending time, have you?
No. How does one bend time? Does it become distorted when you do it? Or is it merely an illusion?
There are quite a few questions presented. Let's address one at a time. We bend time with our thoughts. It's not as simple as it sounds. The idea is to create more time within an allotted time. The other purpose for this is to accelerate time, to shift a difficult event, or to move out of harm's way. For example, if we are visiting a planet and we see a rupturing stratospheric event about to occur, we can bend time to depart rapidly from the event and arrive in a safer location. If an object explodes or we are attacked, we can bend time to appear to accelerate quickly out of the location where we would be in target's range. The bending process would appear as if we moved rapidly from that location to avert the object from hitting us. We can also step rapidly in and out of dimensions, but that can be equally tricky as the dimension shift may present something similar happening at the same location and possibly at the same time. The best and safest approach is to foresee or be alert of one's surrounding at all times. Even in a safe environment, unexpected events can occur. We complain much about incidences like this to Source, and ended up with greater challenges of servitude to the Vinkala, so we could learn to appreciate the spontaneity of the universe. The purpose for this is to keep us sharp and alert about our surroundings. It is rare for us to complain to Source now. We express much more gratitude for our freedom and ability to learn the many intricacies of our cosmic life. You are just beginning to understand these stages. Fortunately, you embrace spontaneity, and it is an inviting experience for you. Regarding distortion, there are strange anomalies or gaps within strands of space where oddities had occurred, such as your time shifts or jump.
This section reminded me of the movie Jumpers that came out with the child that's able to go in and out of dimensional space and time.
It may seem like you find yourself in a process of traveling a specific distance and discover that you got there exceptionally sooner than the typical length of time. You may jump realities and momentarily pass through another dimension or time period. I had also talked to you about getting caught in a loop and how to exit it. The distortions are something yet more involved. They are created by complex beings who know more sophisticated methods of time bending. They should be dealt with carefully if you encounter this type of event. I feel the need to provide some precautionary measures to you. Some of them are on your planet now. They are not deities, but evolved beings from beyond the galaxy. You have encountered a few and will encounter more. Some disguise themselves as magicians or having a high spirituality, yet their behavior does not match this. All of them have a human form. They will not display themselves as who they truly are. Your encounters with them have been minimal and subtle. In the future, they will be more profound because they will know you have your understanding as well. They are less apt to harm you and more interested in communicating with you with agendas. They want to accumulate power and energy. This is why they are here on your planet. When they get what they want, they will leave. However, their presence can be disruptive. I will help you to know how to deal with them. They have evolved abilities. However, if they continue to violate the laws of your planet, they may forfeit their future experiences. The greater concern is to make sure you, my friends, remain well and protected. Time is not an illusion. It is your perception of time that is misinterpreted. As you continue to awaken, you will be able to better see through illusions sent by those around you. You will also be able to bend time in the future as you remain trustworthy to activate your abilities and gifts to enhance society, not to harm it or just use it for personal gain.
What caused you to bring this subject up? Are we in a place where illusion abounds, or has it been more in other time periods of Earth's history where this was more prominent?
You're entering a time when the gateway is about to open up. The resurgence of many who have existed during the past, present and future are all now in a possible space to interact. It is a unique time in our universe. Your programs like SETI, CERN, HARP and others your people have not been informed about are combining molecular changes in your time-space realities, where your SETI communication device is welcoming the presence of many beyond your sphere of understanding. Many of them come from distant places that you have yet to discover. In essence, they know so much more about you than you know about them. Your tones and voices are being heard, as well as emotions felt across the unending waves of sound throughout space and crossing over timelines. The confusion is immense. The messages are convoluted as your fantasy boxes. His reference
TV. Television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Create messages contrary to what you actually want. The other systems misinterpret your ideals of life. You are attracting a full force of unwanted guests who do not fully understand what you consider real or not real. What if is something you should consider. What if they think you want war or destruction? What if they think you want your children to be challenged as adults? What if they are convinced you have full disregard for the planet, the environment, your spouses, etc.? As you open the airways to communication, consider what you are saying and how it will be interpreted. Are you inviting all beings to come and dominate your space, or challenging them to a war? Are you asking them for help or giving over your freedoms? Consider this. What do you value, and is it worth losing? Consider what the real necessities of your existence are. Do not sell your future away for a short-lived fantasy. You have abundance but lack in sensibility at times. Your food source is your most treasured gift. Do not allow anyone to take or alter the value of it. Your environment cannot be replaced. Guard it vigorously. Do not get caught up in the illusions of the trade. The other beings are searching for new outposts and slaves. Will your inhabitants be one of them? You all have choices. Guard your decisions well, and be watchful of what is most important to you. They think you are foolish how you gamble away your homes that were acquired through much labor and many years of devotion. You shed your health on unfamiliar chemicals masked as food sources. You give away your families to strangers while you search for unattainable excitement from strangers. They are already manipulating your existence more than ever before. See through the illusion and retain your birthrights on the planet.
These are wise words and well received. I agree, but thought these were our choices alone. You are informing us that we are being manipulated to give away our place on the planet.
Yes, and they are not as you are. They are much more complex and earnest to acquire your resources. The source of all things gave the human race dominion over this planet. You, as a race, can also forfeit it. This was a hard lesson that we had to learn, and lost full dominion over our planet in Andromeda. This is how we became as travelers to other planets. We hope you do not experience the same fate as we have. Remember, we experience things before you do. The Vinkala has a presence on your planet now and are influencing your lives to some degree as well as other beings. It is our understanding that we Aldebranians, the Visido and Slitarin all have residence with you as well as our people, the Andromedans. You are in a future time from us now. Be vigilant to value what is good and true. The source will help you retain your birthright there.
It sounds like we have been inviting trouble. Have we opened up a Pandora's box? There seem to be both benevolent visitors from off planet as well as those who do not retain our best intentions.
Yes, you have opened a Pandora's box in the past, and most recently during the last 5 generations. Your ancestors were more content to live, eat and love. Your people are excessive and generally dissatisfied by throwing away what you don't want and have too much waste. I am not here to critique your experience, but point out that there is so much you are missing while chasing the empty box full of meaningless experiences or objects. You have more food sources but remain hungry. You have better homes but are not properly sheltered, cold, wet and discontented. You have more visual stimulation and less attention span to absorb or appreciate any of it. Awaken, my friends, to a life like your fathers and your grandfathers. Consider not the fool's path. Awaken to your inner truth or knowing.
I will share your message with others and pray for a better future for our human race, animals, and plant life. Can I ask about the visitors? Will they learn these lessons as well? Will they stay with us and evolve?
Some will stay with you and evolve, and others will disappear to their planets if you don't get caught in their deceptive controls. This is the best route for everyone. If you try to match them, challenge them, or get caught in their game, you will lose what you have. It is an agreement of the universe that others can come in during heightened levels of discontentment. This is just a word of caution. My heart feels for you and your planet at this time. It is under great duress. Be wary, be watchful, and be connected to your inner knowing. I must leave now. We are all awaiting a quiet gathering around the fire this evening, where we will express gratitude for our abundance and the ability to experience friendship and harmony on our peaceful Zephron.
I wish you a wonderful evening for our celebration. And thank you, Andronicus, for your insight.
Goodbye for now, and much strength to you and your fellow journeyers. Blessings, love, and good rest to all. 88-44-65. The blue planet is arising to greater heights of experience here at Zephron. Your friend, Andronicus. And so endeth transmission number 13.
Yes.
Ah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Very different.
You know, there used to be a website called isittuesday.com.
Really?
Yeah. And on Tuesday it would say yes, and every other day it would say no. Of course.
Are we still recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to give any thoughts?
Well, yeah. Let's have a quick. Let's do a quick one. I mean, we still seem to be online, you know. So basically, he's talking from the past.
Yes.
Right at the end. All right. Let's go backwards. That's what he's saying right here. Because where are they? Yeah, well, first of all, the whole thing about trying to match them and getting caught in their game, that was brilliant. You know.
Yeah. Don't get caught in it. He's saying that they're just much better than us. As far as they're setting us up for a game that we're definitely going to lose. You know, it's like going gambling and, you know, the games are rigged. I mean, you already know that, you know, there's no sense in it.
Yeah. Because
they can already outsmart us. They already know the layout of the land. So, you don't want to go down that road with them. It's better off to just bypass that challenge. And we're not naturally easily challenged, I think. The human race is part of our makeup, so they find these areas that we're vulnerable.
Yeah, big lessons. So, as again saying, it's our understanding that the Aldebranians, the Lucido, and the Slitarin all have residence with you, as well as our people, the Andromedans. You are in a future time from us now. So, Aldebranians, yeah, we're getting to understand who they are. So there's the Lucido and the Slitarin, who are Martian, he says. There's the Lucido and the Martians, aren't they?
Yes.
And maybe they are there's reptilians on Mars, aren't there? That guy Randy Kramer's talk about.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, he says there are mantoids and reptilians, but you know, there are also apparently mantoids that are created by reptilians, that are like a hybrid. That are not the pure mantids, and so there's these two races on Mars that now what it seems like they got these gated communities on Mars, and around the communities are military installations that protect it from the indigenous people. beings.
And you said that are they humans that have?
Billionaires live there.
That's part of the gated community. You're saying that wealthy humans or corporations or whatever that have already.
Yeah. And they can do their stuff, whatever they like, because there's no laws that, stop genetic manipulation and all sorts of stuff. They do it on Mars. Doing research on Mars.
It's interesting you say that because, I didn't know anything about that. But it sounds like the Mars beings are notorious for doing. I don't know if I'm finding out from Andronicus. It's the Mars beings that speak later that they actually get into creating things that, working with sulfur, working with chemicals. I think they're the ones that come up with the plastics. Yeah. They're the ones that are heavily into experimentation.
Yeah. And then there's this other group who contacted the American government earlier on in 47. Who said
1947.
Yeah, this is or maybe 46. They called themselves the Etherians, or no, they were called the Etherians because they just snapped out of the ether. They never did say who they were.
And who did they visit?
They visited Truman. And they said, we've got some marvelous technology for you, but you have to stop using nuclear power and nuclear weapons, and you have to stop using plastic. They could be us.
Yeah.
They could be us today.
They could be us today. They could be...
They could actually be Sega.
Well...
It could be Sega.
Sega?
Simon Ratman.
Oh... Well, what they just said was bending time, too. That's what he was talking about, bending time.
Yeah.
Stepping in and out of dimensions.
Yeah. Simon Ratman. Yeah. Sorry.
That's possible, right?
Simon Ratman has a device called a time runner, which is, it's like a wristwatch. It's like the Back to the Future car, it's just like a time machine on a wristwatch or a backpack or something like that. And they travel through time with that. So it could well be that any of these, that these people were actually, I don't know. I used to think that UFOs...
It could be Andromedans.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is it might be people from today coming back in time 50 years. Time parables from the day, going back to 1946, because now we know, well, look at Fukushima and look at the ocean of plastic. All of these things are the result of ignoring those messages.
Right.
There is a timeline somewhere along the line, presumably, that has a timeline where Truman said, okay, good idea. Yeah, maybe nuclear power is not as safe as they tell us. Maybe we'll stop doing it. And they did, and there's a good timeline out there. But of course, we're on the one that sucks.
Well, that it could be that. It could be another being that's trying to intercede. It even could be the angelic realm. If there are beings showing up and warning. I mean, what is our definition of what an angel is and what an extraterrestrial is? I mean,
totally.
Is there really a refined difference?
Well, this is the whole thing. People say, realms and this, but, people say realms and other people might say planets, Other people say realms, other people might say dimensions. There's just the same things, just different words from it. And then people argue and fight over the different words. Oh, it's realm, no, it's a planet. Okay. But you're talking about the same thing, aren't you?
So the Etherians. Alright, so this was before or after Valiant Thor?
Oh, long before. But the Etherians, they appeared and then they said, well, if you don't like our deal, there's a bunch of greys, but you don't really want to trust them. They're liars. And they'll probably let you get on with your nuclear power, and they'll probably encourage you. So be warned, and see you down the road, sort of thing.
Yeah. And that's when the Greys arrived and started giving the Nazi Party information.
This was about the time that paperclip had started, I think, 1946.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, okay. So the Etherians came in after World War II.
Yeah. This is how the story goes, anyway.
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. And there's a reason why he's talking to us about the operations of bending time, and also saying that we have opened the Pandora's box more than once. Exactly,
and I think they're jamming a crowbar in the lid. This is I think what we're trying to prevent here is the lack of closure of the Pandora's box, the ability to close it again, is what we're trying to learn, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think we might close it and then maybe reopen it. That's kind of the idea that I'm getting as well.
Mm.
There's, just when we're, part of the population is, kind of following what he's saying. Remember what your grandfathers, how they lived.
Yeah.
They're eating, it's that eat, pray, love, kind of concept.
Mm.
Eating and growing their food and working and then coming home, spending time with their families. And, he's saying that, that was kind of the healthier format where people are enjoying life, experiencing life, and now they're not doing that. They're like, fascinated with he called it the fantasy box TV.
Yeah.
Interesting word, because I was like, what is he talking about? And I was like, oh, he's talking about the television.
Uh-huh.
So he's very clear, he's very precise about what's going on up here.
Mm.
And he seems to have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah. Who was I talking to about that? Anyway, I was talking the other day to somebody about the capturing of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
When that, you see Disney, capture your child's imagination with Disney. What is your imagination? It's your creative ability. I don't want anybody to capture my child's creative ability, do you?
That's right.
Would? There you go. What somebody would.
Yeah, you're giving it away.
Mm.
And people need to, hold on to what's there. A lot of the stuff people are regurgitating. They're just taking the information that they're getting and then giving them the symbolism and the objects. And we were looking at videos today. Me and a friend. We're like, look at all the symbolism here. It's the Eye of Horus. This stuff that's totally unrelated.
Mm.
It's all intermingled in these music videos. So you're looking at it and saying, well, why? All that stuff does is just, fill our brains with information that we really don't need. And, almost like these little tag symbols that kind of get us to click in on whatever they want us to pay attention to, because we recognize the symbol but what I think is important is that they've blocked us from our own creativity, our own, clarity of information that is coming in from our higher selves, from beyond the planet, as I have with Andronicus. And that's just from really staying pure, trying to be open and down when they got it. It's a very unusual thing. It's probably supposed to be more common or open to what's going on around them. And like that whole, ability that you have, JP, of getting all these creative ideas to make different types of objects that would enhance home life and your life. Just, setting up everything in a different way than what we're told is supposed to be like. So that kind of thing is happening. I think that's making a change by cutting down all of this flow of information and allowing a flow of information that's coming from, the media, television, in some way or another, and allowing the true flow of information to come through, which is that creative side of us. And like with Tesla channeled, I don't think a lot of this stuff's that unique. There are other people that can capture that information. But we got to get rid of all the clutter and the junk and the media control and all of the symbolism.
Yes, indeed. Jess, I think my reception is starting to deteriorate, so it's possibly that you'll be losing me soon. So I'm gonna seal this up. I'm gonna package it up, send it to Colleen, and hopefully she'll be able to deal with playing that, and then you'll be able to do. I mean, it's very much what she does on a Tuesday and Wednesday anyway with Nancy. So thank you very much, Jess. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been JP on the end of a piece of wet string. Oh, by the way, the state of my just to let everybody know, my broadband is down because a engineer last week came and stuck a screwdriver in it. He wasn't my engineer. He wasn't even connected with my telco, but so it's somebody else's problem, and I'm just waiting here for it to fix.
Okay.
So I don't know how long I'm going to be off air and offline. Colleen and Richard are doing a fantastic job. So if you got any space to help anybody, let them know. So thanks very much, Jessica, and I'll see you as soon as I can.
Okay, and JP, if you need anyone to send you a donation or anything, where can they send it to?
Oh, they can send it. You can go to everbeyondradio.com and there's a donation button. And thank you indeed for those who have. Bless you.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Alrighty, we are back and live. Jess, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alrighty, cool. That worked out fine.
Yeah, so it's perfect. Thank you so much. Well, I'm looking at the chat room, and I don't know if you were able to listen in at all. And
a little bit here and there, because I was doing these other things as well.
But yeah, so anyhow, we were talking about some of the things that had transpired, and it's funny because he called the TV a fantasy box.
Oh yeah.
And mentioned that what people are doing is they're fascinated with the television, which we are. It's a form of entertainment, but he's also implying that we don't have the attention span to really take in a lot of that information. We're not able to. We're just like I don't know. Our attention span has gotten accustomed to being short, but we're looking at things and we're just not paying attention to the length that we should be able to. But the other part is that he mentions SETI, and when I heard him say SETI, I was like, I had to think about it and look it up, and that's actually the program that was sent out to connect with these extraterrestrial beings if they exist.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of the gentleman that was very much involved in that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. I've known about SETI for a long time. I know that there's been some controversy with SETI over the years because, any group that gets infiltrated, but yes, I used to be rather active in looking at all the people involved with SETI and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is what SETI stands for.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's been years since I've really gotten into it, although we do cover some of that stuff, from time to time. because I think that a whole lot of people here on Wolf Spirit Radio have been experiencers of one type or another of phenomenon, not necessarily of the physical reality. Some call it paranormal experiences as well as UFO abduction experiences, but I think a whole lot of us here have been experiencers of one type or another.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think essentially that's what the network is made up of. People, very much involved in a lot of these different types of experiences, coming from different perspectives. I know that, I really didn't have any connection with this whole Andromeda thing until recently, but that's when JP says, well, do you know Alex Collier? And I said, no, I don't know Alex Collier. One time he brought up Tolek, and I said, no, I don't know who that is. So it wasn't as if I was like, a follower of
right.
people that were channeling and stuff. And likewise, different things come up here and there, and I know that you've been involved in a lot of, discussions regarding different types of, whether, like you said, paranormal or, even some of the, probably, I don't know, you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, but I know that conspiracy theory information has come through, and also government programs, that, different hidden agendas and all sorts of things have been covered on this network. So people are quite informed. So we're preaching to the choir, but not really. I don't feel like we're preaching, but actually sharing. And also I think everybody has a little bit of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And some of it may seem old hat to a lot of us, but a lot of it's brand new information, or it's old information, but it's put forth in a fresh way. For instance, we don't do, oh my gosh, the aliens are coming down and they're going to kill us and eat us and all that kind of stuff.
No.
It's a possibility that there truly is life on other dimensions, on other planets, and this is what people are saying, and make up your own mind. That's kind of what Wolf Spirit Radio is about. We try not to do the whole fear porn thing, rather than open your minds a little bit, give this some thought. And I think thought is something that's rather rare these days, with all the dumbing down of all the different stuff out there that does that. And we want to teach people how to think again,
Yeah, or just, they're getting information from all different sources, including people looking on YouTube. They're hearing about UFOs. They're hearing about strange, unexplained events. I was recently seeing these lasers that were coming down from the sky, and I started to piece things together. And I said to JP that someone had recently, it's almost like the universe will have different people provide information that are unrelated. They don't know each other. The same as, this collective group today, as we're having this discussion and people are in the chat room, and, you and I are talking. It's not an accident. All of these things are sort of somehow orchestrated in a magnificent way, that different thoughts and perspectives come in. Right? So,
Dolly said, well, they might not come down. Well, they might come down and just lick us. Not
oh, really?
Eat us.
Well, it's funny if you've been following this, the Sleetaran, the lizard ones. Andronicus gets a little, unnerved by them because potentially we could be their food source. And I think they're evolved enough that they know they're not supposed to eat us.
Don't eat the kitties.
Yeah. So they're like these some kind of lizard beings that seem to find us somewhat as a food source. But, we're part of the food chain for animals on the planet. That's how I tell people. if a lion's hungry, we could, appear as meat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not like that bizarre, not all of the extraterrestrial, but it's kind of funny. JP and I laughed about it a little bit because there was that point where he was like, well, they're kind of like moving around at night, watching us in our camps. And so he's like, and he laughed about it, because it's that kind of unnerving experience. But yeah, so what I was saying is that we're all bringing in this perspective, this different piece of information, and it's all, I'm reading, so some people are more palatable than others.
Palatable, yeah. And Vanessa said she didn't stop smoking because she heard that they didn't like smoke-tainted humans. And I said, yeah, I heard that too. And I'm a smoker. But I said, but then, there might be that species that likes their meat smoked. So.
So the next time you see a lizard species walking down the street, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, there are those of us also who are part reptilian. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to be eating your brothers, so.
Oh, God.
Stop, I'm your sister.
I hate to know what those meat byproducts are that they put in the fast food chain.
Yeah.
I wonder. The questionable meat source. Saying that we should, barbecue sauce will mask it. If aliens like a good taste of barbecue sauce. Vanessa.
Maybe they like that kind with good bourbon in it.
Yeah, there you go. Don't give them any ideas, Colleen. You get in trouble here.
I come pre-marinated. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I have a guest that's going to be coming on. I believe, if we can get that phone number through. What do you think?
Well, we can give it a try. Let me try to call her, or we've got...
Maybe we got a couple minutes.
No, we've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I also wanted to see if Nancy wanted to call in and talk to us about the plastics. It looked like she had some information about that. That's up to her. I know she's probably busy.
She is. She has guests coming this evening.
Mm-hmm.
So she's preparing her home for her guests.
Okay.
So we'll see. It'd be good if she does, and we'll be sorry that she's not there if she doesn't. So either way, it's cool.
Okay, yep. So if Nancy, if you're out there and you're listening, if you want to join us for a few minutes, that'd be great, just to give us some information about that topic. Since, the whole thing is really educating people about, recycling and putting, doing something with some of this waste.
Right.
We really have to have a much better plan than we've had in place.
And learn to do a lot of things for yourself instead of depending on corporations and governments
That's
to do things for you,
Perfect. Yeah, so my friend Noreen, she gets pretty heated about things, and, but she, very, very, I think we need more people like her to kind of stand up and speak, speak the truth about, what's going on, and, even some of the things that are coming up lately. She has an array of topics to be discussed. Quite passionate about everything, and, really, really lives what she preaches. I mean, she's, very much into the natural foods, and probably would be very appealing to the, lizard beings.
It sounds like it. So, let me see. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm not sure.
Yeah, it gets like that sometimes.
Okay.
I'm kind of surrounded by woods.
Okay.
Here in Massachusetts. And I know people think we're right in the city, but I think the reception is not always the best of times, so I apologize for that.
Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and add her now. Let's see if I can. find that phone number that I just added.
Yeah, you have to hum like JP.
Well, be thankful I'm not singing.
He always has a little song or something, a little ditty.
There she is. Okay. I'm going to add her to the call. And it's calling.
Okay.
What? Not enough Skype credit? I thought this call was supposed to be...
It's in the U.S.
Yeah, but it's doing it that way. And I don't do my phone calls through there, so it's not letting us call her. I'm wondering if we hang this up, do you do the Skype call thing?
Yeah, I should be able to, why don't we do that? Why don't we put on some music, and I'll try to, bring it.
We'll disconnect this call, and then you pick me up and pick Noreen up, and we'll see how that works.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We're here, listening to Answers from the Universe, and I have my guest, Noreen. Hi, Noreen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we were talking about, the last transmission of Andronicus and the discussion about how that we need to. We were talking about how SETI, the program SETI, which opens up to all the planets, and Carl Sagan reaching out, communicating with whomever would. All of this stuff is opening up an information portal to these other beings, as well as CERN and I don't know why I'm HARP. It's the other program that came up.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm kind of stuck here, but anyhow. So all of these things are opening up right now. It's open up a portal. We're communicating, and we're not even realizing what we're doing. But the combination of this stuff is working on an atomic level in altering our fields and opening up dimensional spaces. So, which has created and brought in different problems. And so we've been talking a little bit about CERN, and I don't know which part you want to have a discussion about, but. You can just go for it.
Okay, well, I wasn't listening, so I don't know. Have you explained what it is?
No, you can talk about, we've had discussions about HARP and CERN, but not necessarily today. So, you can bring up some of it, or you can bring up, whatever that you would like to contribute regarding
sure.
Things that are going on right now.
Okay, what CERN is this huge machine that they have built in Geneva, Switzerland, and it's a particle collider. So basically they're calling it the God particle, which is scary. And basically what this thing does is it opens up, some people are saying it's a portal. Some people are saying it's a Stargate. Some people are using Shiva's name, which I think is just basically being disrespectful. I don't think Shiva approves of any of this. Mm-hmm. But, so what's supposed to happen is there's a window beginning September 23rd, which in the Jewish tradition is the Day of Atonement. And there's reasons for this. I mean, they've been planning this for thousands of years. So supposedly they're going to activate this machine, this particle collider, which does look like the all-seeing eye if you look at it from the side. And it's all deliberate. And so they're supposed to activate this to open up this portal. I don't know what precisely they're telling the public about it, because I should read more of the official websites, but of course, it's something positive, So this is supposed to happen on the 23rd. On the 28th, we have a blood moon, which is the final of 4 in the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. So it's ending a cycle, and this is forming, alignments that haven't happened for thousands of years. So there's kind of this window for them, whoever them is, to open up this portal, and it also does correspond with revelations in the Bible. So there are descriptions of, the moon will turn red, and this is supposedly the beginning of the judgment. So I don't know. What I do know is I don't think this is a good thing for humankind. I think they're going to let in satanic and demonic beings that basically work through, if you're going to call them the Illuminati or the elite, the Illuminati and the elite are just their puppets. We haven't seen anything yet. They've done all these horrible things. Well, it's going to get worse if this happens, supposedly. So that's what I've read. Now they're saying that they've shut it down, but I think that's a lie. I think it's a distraction. And of course my information too, just to be fair, is I'm Pleiadian. So I'm telling you the Pleiadian, perspective. There are other star systems who I'm sure have their own information, which is, go out and read it because it helps us to understand. But basically, my role that I see is, as a healer, is that it's going to affect people at a subconscious level. And this is what satanic people have been doing to us for many, many years. They use alpha waves. They use their demonic frequency to affect our thoughts and to affect our feelings and make us think that it's our fault, that there are feelings and we're responsible for them, and we're not. And so if they open up this portal and allow these even more powerful extraterrestrial beings, and humankind is going to feel it very bad. So that's my take on it. I don't know if you have any questions or if I can even answer them, but
yeah. Well, there is a chat room, so if you want to take your tablet or something and look at www.wolfspiritradio.com and log into the chat.
Sure.
The other thing that I think, the whole thing, let's get back to the whole Shiva image. There was actually a statue or something, isn't it, by CERN?
Yes, yeah. Yes, it's a huge statue of Shiva, yeah.
Which is, from a few different perspectives, Shiva is a very sacred being. I have some friends that are Hindu, and so Shiva is not this, there's a misinterpretation of who
right.
he is, and so technically Shiva is a benevolent being, but they call him the creator destroyer, but not that he is here to just destroy the earth, but actually, probably has been there as the inception of many of the planets. And so Shiva is also regarded as Lord Shiva and the creator of the universe. Now we have many deities and higher beings that have been here to support us on the planet, and so we have a high regard for and respect for them, just as we do Buddha and many of the others. And I know that, I mentioned that here's Shiva being misrepresentative as ISIS has been misrepresented in the whole, holy jihad, war where these people are militant, and here they're using a deity to do this. And I don't see that it's any, different from what's happened with the Crusades, where they use Christianity as a reason and, free reign to go out and just murder innocent people because they don't believe the same way. So
yeah.
I take great offense. I have a personal love for Shiva. I think Shiva's a beautiful, wonderful deity, and as I do for the Buddha and many of the other ones that are here to support our experience. And so, yeah, and it should not be there, in agreement with what's going on with CERN. And so that, you know, saying that, well, this is, you know, representing or justifies us causing this destruction. No, there's no cause for it. And,
no, right. I think they do this also. It's just part of the satanic energy is to create confusion and mistrust. And yeah, exactly. I think like this is where they start to confuse these gods that are sacred to India with the worshiping of idols, which is not the same. And if you go back into the history of, you know, there are some texts that say that after Jesus rose from the dead, he actually resided in India. If you go to the northern part of India, there is a grave there for Jesus, and, you know, people from India will actually dedicate their lives as being like a monk where Jesus is supposedly buried. So I think what you're saying is the only way we can know the truth is to, you know, connect through meditation or however you do that and trust in your heart center that you know what the truth is. And those people who walk in the light, you know, they won't be fooled. They know what God is and they know what the other is. So, you know, this is where it's going to be kind of a test, I think, for humankind. And I just see us here as trying to help. But that's just my take on it.
Yeah. You know, we do whatever it is that we can. And so, you know, to try to, you know, continue to inform people. I know that you were also talking about this date, this, September 23rd, which is literally around the corner. It's only a few weeks away. But there have been, for whatever reason, Hollywood and many others have been using this number, this date, September 23rd. What does it mean? Why, you know, there's information about it on YouTube. And, like I said, it's
well, what it means is the Illuminati, or like whatever name you want to give them, those who worship this force of Satan, they tell you what they're going to do. They tell you subliminally, okay? Some people call it karma dodging. I don't know, maybe it's funny for them. Maybe I don't know what the reason is, but since the early 80s up to recent movies, I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch videos. There's been many movies where they have shown this date. And that's their way of telling you. You know, they told us about 9/11. That was also in movies. So they're telling you that this is the plan. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't connect the dots, or they think it's not real, or they're just not paying attention. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so there's like a specific, I don't know, I wish I had the links that we could share with people and they can watch those YouTube unless you have those offhand. But, and I know that, you know, people say, oh, well, you know, it's on the internet, it can't be right, you know, it's an urban legend, and, you know, all the variety of different reasons why, you know, we shouldn't, you know, accept what's on there. I mean, of course, our radio show's on the internet, so does that mean, you know, what we're saying, what anyone else is saying on there, whether, you know, whether you can trust it or distrust it. I think people are sensible enough to be able to filter out what they believe and what they don't. But,
yeah, absolutely. One thing that does happen, though, and people can test this, is they can use Google Maps on their phone or on their computer, and you can type in September 23rd, 2015, and for half of them out there, CERN will actually show up. It will take you there. So, again, I mean, yeah, some of this is out there, but why does that happen? You know, that's strange. So,
what are they
you're
saying?
right.
What are they saying to us? Yeah.
Yeah, they're telling you, you know, and what they want is for you to be confused or to say, oh, that could never happen. People would never do that. See, this is part of our programming too. We've been programmed through television, and we're bombarded with television so much that this is part of, you know, it goes into the subconscious. It's there, but you don't remember it. So you start to think, oh, this couldn't really happen. Like, and we don't want to believe it either. So no one wants to believe that someone would do something like this. basically opening up a portal. But this is the plan, so.
Yeah, and it's not everybody's plan. It's whoever.
Oh, they don't care. They don't care what we think, or I mean, they don't care if we don't want it. They're basically not going to stop. That's what we kind of have to accept. And so, okay, if they're not going to stop, how do we respond? You know, what can we do? And so I think that's, like I said, go into your heart, try to be outside, try to think, like, whatever makes you happy and calm, this is your power. Their power is fear. They feed off of fear and anger. Hence so many wars in the last century, so many, you know, all these, like, gun violence stuff that's happening, animals dying in Fukushima, like, all this stuff, they feed off of this, okay? Mm-hmm. So for you to play into the fear, it's not going to help. I know it's scary, you know, this stuff that's happening, but we have to try to maintain a vibration that's higher. That's the only way.
Right. And so I agree with you. I mean, they don't care, but they're actually giving us clues. They're letting us know. They're so blatant about it that they're actually putting this information in the subconscious of humans, so they already are aware of it, or they're just like mocking us and putting these dates and information, like the 9/11 situation. If you look, and probably there's some information on YouTube about that as well, is that they were talking about it before it happened. Same thing here, September 23rd. They're talking about it. We haven't gotten there yet. We don't know exactly what they're planning on doing and who they are. But they're working somehow with Hollywood and inserting this information. Now, if this is just an urban legend, if this is just a play on words or numbers, then fine. But all right, then we also were watching the most recent Justin Bieber video that is laced with all sorts of information, symbology.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes.
What in the world is going on with that? And what are they saying to our children? And what, you know, that there's, what was it? How many slides per second, you know, that you're seeing this graffiti that has so much information, including, was it the date there again, September 23rd?
Yeah, actually they say, yes. So, yes, and you're right. It's 24 slides per second, which means, like you just said, it goes to your subconscious, and they know this because the frequency is too high for your brain to process for your conscious mind. So it goes into the subconscious, and you don't necessarily remember it, but your subconscious remembers it and sees it as truth, okay? And yes, they do say September 2013 was the practice. September 2014 was the warm-up. Okay, so this is in the Justin Bieber video, and you can find that on YouTube.
Which is what you mean song, right? Is it What Do You Mean? Is the name of his song, the new video?
Oh, yeah, I can't think offhand of what it's called. Something with the U with the German umlaut, the two dots over it, which is also a symbol, you know, for 666. So it is right in your face. Actually, that video is very blatant. They're not trying to hide it. They don't need to hide it anymore. They're telling you, this is what we're going to do. Try to stop us, you know? So.
Right. And it's that U with the two dots on top of it. You said it was what is it called again?
It's the German umlaut, but basically what it is if you have a personal computer and you type Alt, and 666, you get that letter. So that's another way of them saying 666 to you without you really knowing it.
Okay. I mean, you know, you're just inundated. You could probably go slide by slide and say, wow, this is like, you know, they started to do that in that video. Do you remember what the name of person that put that together?
Yeah, you can. Okay, so here's the Justin Bieber song. Is called "Where Are You Now."
Where Are You Now?
That's the video. I would not suggest listening to it really because or watching it too long because this stuff will go into your subconscious. Okay, but I'm sure once it's okay. But if you want to see how they break down the video slide by slide, you can just type in Justin Bieber Illuminata and on YouTube. And the kid's very centered and straightforward and goes through the slides and explains everything. So.
And, you know, it might have a Christian slant on it, which is fine. You know, we embrace all belief systems here.
Yeah.
However, you know, if you don't get turned off if you don't agree with it. But just take in the information, the part of it that actually does, you know, take in the pieces of information that actually does contribute, you know, the pertinent parts of what is being portrayed. I mean, this is not fabricated. These are actual slides that are part of the video. And, you know, what's their target audience? Preteens?
Yeah,
Even
children.
Younger? Yeah, really, yeah.
Children.
You're talking about, you know, how even very, very young children are now being, you know, they're being targeted like, was it Hannah Montana or, what's Miley Cyrus? Miley Cyrus holding on to, stuffed animals and,
yeah.
You know, I have a son. I mean, he's clearly out of that age range, but, you know, for any parent, you just like, what are they teaching our children? Why are they needing to teach our children this really disturbing things? And, you know, our children are already in danger of a lot of issues, you know, for a lot of reasons. You have to worry about, you know, predators and all sorts of things. And now you're telling children to lure in the predators? I mean, what's going on here? It's just horrible. Quick question, Noreen. Someone tried to type in heaven for a MapQuest to give me directions. Just wanted to let you know there's some people out there trying to think positive and you know, it's good. It's good because, you know, information is positive and,
Yeah, definitely. And I would say too that again, I consider myself from the star system, the Pleiades, so this is my perspective, but along with all this chaos and darkness, there's also supposedly ascended masters, you know, basically these beings, ascended beings from other star systems who are coming here to help us too. So it's not like we're just left here with all the bad. There will be good. We just kind of have to stick it out through 2015. It's going to get kind of dire. You know, that's my intuition. But absolutely, you have to just laugh about things, do things that make you feel good, that keep your vibration high, because, you know, that's all we can do, really.
Right. And also, you know, let's have a stronger focus on sending positive energy. So if their intentions, whoever they are, whoever is calling the shots in some of these bigger decisions regarding equipment that they have no business playing with, such as HARP or CERN, you know, we're going to ask and send out an intention that they have, you know, a better perspective and sensibility about what they're doing and whatever they think they're planning. So maybe we can have a collective thought or meditation prior to that time, or do it within your communities. And let's try to keep, you know, ownership of the planet. I do think that with numbers there's power of people thinking all and focused in one way. I know that there was a group that was meditating to keep everyone positive and thinking in the right direction regarding CERN. I know that was going out recently through a group connected to Simon Parks. So, you know, let's keep on doing stuff like this. This is the right thing to do. It's not an accident that people are all sort of, you know, not even communicating, but yet thinking along the same frame of mind. And I even noticed that people even in the chat room, you know, they know what's going on, and someone had mentioned, Colleen mentioned that she's seen, Jesus' face in the clouds, pictures of that. Let's see. Just looking at some of the comments in the, chat room, Vanessa said, yes, let those who know know to not get worried about this while the sheeple can worry about that, till, and I can't read that last section there. Let's see, that, you could put the whole diamond in the mind, but no one would ever know. Keep in deep meditation.
Yeah, that was somebody saying, we need to meditate, but not on our navels. And I said, for me, if I meditated on my navel, that would be a deep meditation, because you could put the entire Hope Diamond in mine.
Oh.
And no one could ever see it.
Well, you know what? That sounds better than the way I said it. Thank you, Colleen. And meditation is key, and you know that we should all have the Hope Diamond on our belly buttons. Because it is, hopeful. It's you want to focus on this like crystalline energy. It's actually a great visual when you think about it. So, perfect. And I'm just like kind of browsing over, and I don't know what's wrong with my screen here, but it's in the, Vanessa says something, my friend is waiting for him to come. I think he's referring to Revelations and Jesus, and that's how you can tell, talk about, since the bad gurus, I think, have the same script. It's discernment, Vanessa. Oh, okay, here's some more Kool-Aid. So, yeah, and we were also, Noreen and I were talking about the false Christ. Was it you, Noreen, that I talked to about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. That someone else was talking about that there's probably going to be a false Christ coming. So now we have to figure out which one's the real one, which one isn't. But I think we're going to know.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to know. I mean, the earth is shifting to a higher vibration, and through your heart, like, you're going to know what the truth is.
Well,
absolutely.
Right. Well, I think, this is my personal view of things, is the second coming of Christ is when we realize the Christ within us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second coming, is our realization of that. And anything else is going to be false. If we're told to look outside ourselves for the answer, then it's false. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I think it has everything to do with the heart. And it's, whether someone is actually looking for a physical Jesus or the Jesus that you actually can see in your third eye and your, it doesn't really matter. I think the point is that we remain connected to Source, that we know where we came from. We are, a spark of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are interconnected. Just not everyone is awakened yet.
Right.
And so even those that are doing these ridiculous, foolish things need to awaken. And just by protesting and fighting, I think they need to be educated. They don't know any better to some degree. For some reason, their inner knowing has been shut down. We need to, just continue and just like a child that's ready to, run out into traffic, sometimes we need to pull people out of the way. Hey, listen, you can't be in charge. That's what's, something that we need to focus in on. So we have, another half hour. Noreen, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, regarding some of the research that you've done? And I know that you're definitely into nutrition, and we were talking a lot about how to keep ourselves healthy. I know that you're very strong about, watching what you eat and take care of your health, and yet you talk about heavy metals being a predominant issue. What do you see is going on right now in that area?
Basically you're being bombarded with toxins from every angle. So, and a lot of people drink fluoridated water, and fluoride actually blocks the opening of the third eye. You're being sprayed with heavy amounts of aluminum, which also starts to block some of these connection to the chakras, and, it's physically harmful to you. So I tell people, whatever your approach is, you want to get heavy metals out of your body. Like, I would think that would be the first thing you want to do. And, along with diet, changing your diet to a more alkaline diet, because when you get the heavy metals out, then you can start getting parasites out. But if you have heavy metal buildup, the parasites have something to feed off of. And I know this is out there and it's gross at the same time, but this is a reality that just being outside, you are breathing in probably hundreds of thousands of aluminum particles a day, okay? Because this is go time for them, for the dark ones. So they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. And I tell people, look into, some people use chelation therapy to get rid of heavy metals. Some people will do a cleanse that they buy at, health food store. Some people juice cilantro. These are different approaches. Find the one that you think resonates with you. Mm-hmm. But that's what I would say is first and foremost right now is your diet being more alkaline. And that's kind of a long topic to get into, but people can research that on their own, and getting the heavy metals out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and Vanessa also said, and I know you'll agree with this, Noreen, the hardest thing is to help nutrition. Hardest thing to help nutrition is to toss the microwave.
Absolutely, she's right on. Yeah, the microwave is terrible.
Explain to us what the microwave does.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert on microwaves, okay? All I can tell you is something that nukes your food in 30 seconds, that normally would take half an hour to make, just doesn't sound right, okay? And I would guess that these microwaves are similar to EMF waves, which are, in cell phones, smart meters, all of these things. They're not in alignment with us, with the human body. They're harmful. So, yeah, microwaves are just they're not good. They're not going to help you. I know it's a temptation to use them because they're fast and we're constantly on the go, but, then there's got to be something else that somebody could do in their daily life instead of that, because it's just really not good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, the microwaves change the molecular structure of the food. And when it comes out of the microwave, your body no longer recognizes it as food.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And reverses like the polarity, the energy of it.
Yeah.
So, and we also highly suggest shungite in your home to help attenuate, that's the word that Nancy uses, all of those negative microwave energies that are coming in through the cell phones and the Wi-Fi and the microwave and all of these smart appliances we have now.
Definitely. I don't know if shungite's the same as orgonite.
They're a bit different, but they can be used together.
Okay, I don't know much about. Yeah, sure. I'd say all of these things are going to help you. The more that you have, the better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're strong proponents of shungite here at Wolf Spirit Radio, and I know that Nancy sells the shungite, and Walt,
she more than shares it. She sells it. She brings it.
She brings it, and she also, has been helping the planet with it, as well as Walt, Walt Silva, who also works with her and creates orgonite and some other things with shungite.
And magnets.
Yeah. So it's amazing. We got a really amazing group of people here that everybody's doing their part, which is really cool, and that's what it's all about. I mean, not everyone can cover everything, but we're all sort of specializing in a specific area to help provide insight and answers from the universe. So that's why we're here. That's why I named the show as it is, because, it's not just me, it's a collective of everybody, and we're all just coming together, and having this discussion. Getting back to the microwaves, I think it was Noreen's friend Craig who mentioned to me something a while back that really made me feel very strongly about the microwave, is that, it actually changes, it brings your blood actually to a point where it appears that you have leukemia for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That part startled me. I'm like, oh yeah, great, this is like the pre-cancer.
Yeah.
Well, why was I so unhealthy for all these years? Well, it was probably all that time I used the microwave alone. It wasn't even just all the GMO food and everything else that I was eating. And because, technically I wasn't a smoker, I wasn't, drinking, but yet I had this, problems and struggles with weight and, whatever, just not feeling well, feeling a little tired, sluggish. And no doubt, a lot of it came back to the microwave and some other things as well. But, we're learning. It's a whole process and series of events and information as we go. So, we're trying to figure out what to do about this whole September 23rd, scenario and exactly identify if anyone ever has any insight. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe they can join me on the show. Any information that comes up about that date.
I think that Simon, if I'm not mistaken, Simon Parks, I think he's also planning kind of like a worldwide meditation, that anything that is being planned that is not for the good of all, not go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm correct. And that would be an awesome thing for people around the world to do a meditation prior to that day, to do that meditation and put out the energy, positive healing, and kind of counteract whatever it is they're trying to do that's not so good.
Yes, and maybe, do you know that date when he was planning on doing it, or any information?
His new newsletter is out, and that's at Simon Parks, and that's PARKES.org. He has a newsletter up there that everybody can go to and read that. He also in that talks a little bit about some of the stuff that they're trying to pull, and his take on it, like the whole banking fiasco that's going on globally.
Yeah,
that's the manipulation of that.
Yeah.
So I recommend that site and check out his newsletter, because I'm sure he's got the date in there and some of the plans. And we can follow lead. We don't have to wait on him, or you don't have to join that group.
No.
If you don't want to, we can all do this individually, and each as individuals, the energy all comes together. So.
Right. And I'm taking a look at his site right now. Let's see, events. Let's see if it's under events. That it's connecting to consciousness group. I don't see anything, but at some point I would like to definitely have that newsletter information out there. But you're right. I mean, if I don't see that he's doing anything particularly for that, then I will see if I can try to organize something if people are interested. And we'll have a day of meditation, maybe JP's up and running.
It looks like they're working on their website, because they've had some issues, because they've been under attack as well. So they're working on the site. Let me see. Let me click in here. Go ahead.
CosmicReality.net, I guess, is one location. Oh, that's Nancy's site.
Okay, I've got the newsletter up. I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Okay, yep. So, we'll take a look at that. And so, I mean, I think that was one of the things that I thought, you know, I don't want to wait for 9/11 to happen again. You know, I don't want to wait for anything else to happen. I think we could be proactive and interfere this time. And, you know, since they don't have the sensibility to do the right thing, maybe we can all collectively create a scenario where, you know, maybe they should reconsider not putting Shiva there, and maybe we can ask our Hindu friends to communicate with Shiva to help us in this process as well. Call in all of the deities to interfere with any bad energy.
Oh, I also wanted to say, Jessica, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Vanessa just reminded us that Frank Jordan also does meditations regarding some of this stuff that's going on, as well as the changes in the earth, the earthquakes and volcanoes and things like that. But he has a meditation group 3 times a week on Wolf Spirit Radio that we can listen to and meditate along with them to put that energy out.
Can you share his what time his show's on?
Sure, I can. He's on Wednesday morning, 9 to 10. That's Pacific time. That's noon to 1 Eastern.
Okay.
And then he's on again Saturday at the same time, 9 to 10 Pacific, 12 to 1 Eastern. And then he has a Sunday show that's a 2-hour long show where people can also call in for healings. And the group will do a group healing on people. I'll have to get to the schedule to get that time because it's later in the day. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. But I think that gives people something to work with. And if people are already doing it, I think that's great. You know, and maybe we can share with him some of this information if he isn't already covering it. Do you talk with him regularly, Colleen, or?
I produce his show, yes.
Okay, so maybe bring up, you know, whatever information, whatever this predicted date is. We'll try to get the YouTube link over to you so that maybe see if Frank will conduct these meditations. Noreen, could you find those YouTube videos that cover the topic of what the expectation is, or the linking of all the different references to that date?
Sure.
So
and do you want me to put this, where should I put these?
If you have it, then you can let me know or let us know on air right now. And then you can put it.
I don't have all of them right now.
Okay, but
offhand.
Okay, and so you can provide it for me, and I can forward it to Pauline, who's our wonderful host today. And
sure, yeah.
And then we can then share it that way.
Okay, yeah.
You can share it with the chat room. Okay, so Frank's show is on Sunday at 5 p.m. to 7 in Pacific time. So that's Frank Jordan. Is that correct, Colleen?
Yes, it is. Frank Jordan. I think the Sunday show is called Healing and Meditation. Also, you can go up into the archives. Any of these shows that we're talking about are up in our archives. Many of them are up in there for at least a week after they've been recorded live. So if you'd like to go in and check out Frank's show and the healing group, you're welcome to go into our archives and do that.
Wonderful. That's great. We have about 10 minutes left, or maybe a little less. Noreen, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I don't know. About which thing?
I know that we've had like a few different topics that we've been talking about. We did just touch on, what's going on as far as videos, things that's going on as far as government, or health and wellness, whichever area that you feel like you just wanted to share. This is kind of your forum, your time to share with the public. Something.
Okay, I guess, one thing I'll say, which probably most of the listeners know, but I think I mentioned frequency before, and we're talking about messages that go to the subconscious. So one thing to be aware of is that all music before World War II was in 432 hertz, which actually resonates with us as human beings. After Nazi Germany, they decided on, at least in the United States, I'm guessing this is a worldwide thing for the most part, at least a Western world thing, they went up to 440 hertz, which is actually demonic. It's that thing where you're talking about the Justin Bieber thing with 24 slides per second. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that same idea. It's that it's too fast for us to process this, okay, through our alpha waves, so it goes into the subconscious. Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to reiterate that the less TV that you watch and the less time you spend on electronic devices and even listening to some music you may even think is good, okay, is actually in this demonic frequency. It doesn't mean it was deliberate, by the group making the music, but it's just that to be allowed to actually have your music out there, you have to do things a certain way, okay? You have to play the game in the system. So I tell people, it's like, you don't want to give up music completely if that's something that's joyful for you. But I would be careful about how much of this stuff you're taking in that frequency. So the frequency that's not good is 440 hertz. There's some music, this is up for debate also, that's in 532 hertz, okay? Some people say this is healing. I personally have found that it's also from Saturn. But that's again, some people resonate with that. The ideal frequency of music for a lot of us is actually 728. The problem is it's very hard to find that kind of music unless you're going into, very pure organic forms of music. So classical music, instrumental, certain forms of voice, like kind of operatic, that kind of thing. So I'm not saying this to be like, you want to be fanatical about it, but the less time that you spend with a TV is good right now, just like the microwave. All of these things kind of add up to bombard us. So if you can take away a couple of those things, watch a little less TV, or maybe listen to the radio less and go outside. This is something that I think is beneficial at this time.
Mm-hmm. And as Andronicus referred to the television as the fantasy box. In other words, it's creating, fabricated stories where, I think what he was saying to us is, not all of this is really reflecting what's going on in the inside, or we're ignoring what's going on in the inside and not reflecting on what's going on, taking that information from the television and making it a dominant part of our lives. Now, I watch television. I don't watch a whole lot of television. I'm not saying that all of television is evil, and I also think that just as radio is important to, we're clearly on radio right now. So, it's another means of communication, as television is a means of communication, as the telephone is a means of communication, but they also have these electronic rays that are not healthy for us at the same time. And so the whole thing with Andronicus and what he was saying from, his perspective is that we're sending out information through the universe, that this is what our belief system is, this is how we are as a human race, that we like wars, we like all these different things that we don't necessarily like and can be interpreted in that way. And that was the earlier transmission that kind of touched on that. But yes, also the television is interfering with our connection to source and our inner voice and what's trying to come through. And so if we're overstimulating in our thoughts, the constant commercials and the television program and bombarded with all these visuals, we may be actually blocking the key information that's supposed to come through and remind us why we're here now. And wondering why we're discontented, we're depressed, we have all these issues. It's because we're no longer connected to that inner voice, that inner knowing. So trying to create that balance. It's a balance of all things, I don't think technology is evil. I think the overuse of it and it not connecting to our natural state is probably worse than anything at all. I mean, we're, ignoring the very essence of who we are, and who we are intertwined and interconnected with the earth, with nature. And when we see ourselves separate from that, that's where the huge gap occurs. So, anything other than then inundated with, information that is not necessary or actually blocking us becomes a big problem. But I think we're all learning, and so this has been really interesting, and I'm grateful. I miss JP. JP, I'm so grateful that he did this section with me where he did the transmission of Andronicus from Andromeda. But I'm also grateful that we had Colleen here to contribute. We had the whole chat room has been saying some really fascinating stuff and really great stuff. And Noreen, thank you for joining us today and bringing up some tangible information that people could start to think about and go and look up.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we're going to post later on. I'm going to try to get some information into the chat room for people in regard to some of the things that we were talking about today, especially the YouTube video on September 23rd. But also be sure to listen into Frank Jordan's show. We're going to see if we can get him to do some meditations around this area. So let's join the collective group. And even if you want to do it within your own smaller group, somewhere where you meet with others, and focus in on this energy. We only have a few weeks away. We don't know exactly what their intentions or plans are. And, we don't want this to be a red herring, too. I mean, it could be that we're looking for this one thing. It could be something else as well. So just all around intentions around this area. We got a few minutes. Anything else, Noreen, that you would like to share before we go?
I think I've talked a lot, so okay. I'll leave it to you guys.
All right. Well, let's see. Vanessa said to me, it's almost like magic because it's so above me. Well, okay. Vanessa, thank you. And, you guys all have offered Dolly, Kitty, and, I know that, a few people, Nancy has been a part of the show. Thank you. You guys are awesome. And, here again, I'm just going to come back to what I said earlier. You all remind me of Dave. I miss Dave. And, today, I also really, miss JP as well, so, and, hoping, wishing well for everybody and good health, happiness, and love to all our animals and friends and everyone else around us. Have a blessed day, and thank you. And for joining us here at Answers from the Universe, we will see you next week.
Alrighty. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Noreen. A wonderful, wonderful show. We've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.